Dear friends, this is the last time, I hope, that I have to greet you virtually. Many times through the past year, confronted with the encroaching pandemic, I asked myself, how would David Ben Gurion, a master in crisis management, react? What did Ben Gurion do when he encountered obstacles on his journey? Time after time, he set up a task force, and the results of these task forces are with us to this day, including our university. And this is what we did too. We established task forces in research, in teaching, and in community response to confront one of the great crises that the world has known. And despite the constant uncertainty, we strive to act in alignment with the deeply held values that define the BGU spirit. So I am proud to report that the BGU family rallied over the past 12 months to ensure that despite the challenges, Ben Gurion University of the Negev would continue in its mission so essential for the future of Israel. While our campuses remained quiet without the daily bustle of thousands of students or the numerous public gatherings so exemplative of the BGU experience, this integrity allowed us to remain as active as ever, not only in our homes, but in offices and in labs. And despite their own difficulties, our students, staff, and faculty reached out to their colleagues and neighbors in their time of hardship, exemplifying the BGU spirit and the meaning of community. Indeed, today more than ever, the case could be made that Ben Gurion University of the Negev is the most important institution of higher learning for the future of Israel. How can I make what might be construed as a bombastic statement? Well, follow my reasoning. Decades ago, Ben Gurion said that the future of Israel will arise from the Negev, and today we are living that future. Second, for the Negev to continue to thrive and enable this future, Beersheba must grow into a cosmopolitan metropolis that will attract young people from all over Israel to build their futures here in the Negev. And finally, the engine driving the development of Beersheba is our university. We are the city's largest employer. We provide the high-tech graduates building our thriving advanced technology park. We are at the center of the developing innovation district. And we are the reason that the IDF has decided to move its advanced intelligence units from the center of country to the south, adjacent to our campus. So for me, the logic is simple. Considering that the future of Israel is dependent on the Negev, and the Negev is dependent on Beersheba, and Beersheba is dependent on BGU. So it follows that the future of Israel is also dependent on BGU, on all of us. At last year's virtual Board of Governors meeting, I presented a strategic plan for the university with its recommendations ultimately aimed at positioning BGU as the leading university in Israel. Presenting and committing to implement the strategic plan involved a certain amount of risk. Indeed, change can be perceived as a threat by some, and by publishing these plans, we are allowing ourselves to be held accountable. But this risk is inevitable and essential if we are to lead Ben Gurion University to new achievements and standing. Over the past year, despite the pandemic, we spared no effort in moving forward with implementations. Working groups endeavored diligently to develop detailed plans for realizing our various aspects of our strategy, and millions of dollars have already been invested to improve the overall research and teaching capabilities of the university. These achievements build on our remarkable accomplishments of the past half-century. Many are so well known that many of you may take them for granted. These include our cyber capabilities, influence on the Bedouin populations of the Negev, the Ben Gurion Archives, and the Mandel Program in Social Leadership, just to name a few, while leaving out numerous others. But now I want to focus for a few minutes on several new developments over the past year that dovetail with our remarkable story. Just last month, our Senate approved the founding of BGU's newest school, the School of Sustainability and Climate Change. Over 100 researchers from all campuses and all faculties have come together to build Israel's largest and most diverse supradisciplinary school. This school is dedicated to solving the century's biggest challenge, living on our planet in a sustainable fashion so that our children, and grandchildren can also enjoy the riches of our world. This new school gathers its inspiration from our 50 years of experience and know-how, garnered from learning to live and thrive in this desert. And our commitment to excellence and to impact, to problem-based research, to close connections with industry ensures that the School for Sustainability and Climate Change at Ben Gurion University will become the go-to place for scientists and students from Israel and indeed from around the world. Many of you have already been exposed to the remarkable autism research coming out of BGU. So now I am proud to announce that recently we received a very significant donation to continue this groundbreaking work in the newly named Azrieli National Autism Research Center. With this new support, the National Autism Research Center, a joint venture of researchers from both the university and the Soroka University Medical Center, will expand its research to other locations in Israel. Scientists from all over the country and the world will be coming to BGU to carry out critical research into autism. We have also established over the past year the Manya Agel Initiative in Innovative Nutrition and Food Research. This initiative builds on groundbreaking research coming out of BGU's International Center for Health and Nutrition and expands to include numerous faculty members throughout our campuses. Recently, research coming out of the center showed the importance of our Mediterranean diet in reducing cardiometabolic disease. So keep eating Israeli salad and soft cheese. And over the past year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, BGU made its first 2 international forays, founding satellite campuses in India and in the United States. Together with our Indian partner, ABAN, we established an agricultural research facility in Chennai, India, that will offer local students the opportunity to enroll in our courses and to get a BGU degree. The new institute's research will be under the supervision of faculty from the Blaustein Institutes of Desert Research at our Stable Care campus. Through this initiative, a new generation of Indian researchers will receive the tools to deal with some of the most pressing issues in the modern world. Issues such as the need of modern and effective agriculture methods for improving food production, and technological innovations for increasing the quality and volume of available water. And just last month, I signed an agreement in the presence of New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, creating the Institute for Future Technologies, a joint institute on the banks of the Hudson, facing Manhattan, of BGU and the New Jersey Institute of Technology. This institute will carry out cutting-edge research in cybercomputing and in environmental and civil engineering. I wonder how Israel's first entrepreneur and chief visionary, David Ben Gurion, would view these developments. I dare say he would be delighted. Ben Gurion, who predicted that the future would arise from the Negev, who championed US and Israel relations, who felt a deep affinity between Hindu and Hebrew thinking, would be thrilled at these new institutes. I can even imagine him talking not only of an Oxford in the Negev, but of a BGU on the Hudson or a BGU of the East. Indeed, as was so clear with the groundbreaking research arising from our COVID-19 Research Task Force, as part of the international scientific community, it is our duty to share our scientific research and know-how for the benefit of the world. And I am sure the graduates of these new institutes will have a great impact on their societies. And speaking of graduates, isn't it remarkable that our graduates have literally changed the world and include this year's Ben Gurion Award laureate, Moderna's Dr. Tal Zaks, who got his MD from the Goldman School of Medicine and did his PhD research with the late Shraga Segal, who founded the Department of Immunology and Microbiology in the Faculty of Health Sciences. And remarkably, more than 50 years after our founding, our commitment to our community is more alive and flourishing than ever. Students from all over Israel come to BGU for the honor to be called a Ben Gurioni, a BGU student. More than 6,000 students from all corners of Israeli society, about 50% of our undergraduate student body, are involved in a wide variety of community and social projects in the region under the auspices of BGU's Department of Community Action. And coming back to our response to the pandemic, it is remarkable that we were the only university in Israel to guarantee that no student would be left behind because of the economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Over 25% of our student body received extra financial aid this year, thanks to the commitment of you, our friends, of all of us to the future of Israel, and that is our students. 2 years ago, I dared to dream of the barren ground which will become the North Campus. And now, thanks to several transformative gifts, I ask you to imagine our North Campus in only a few years' time. Bear with me and close your eyes and picture this. At the top of the campus, the Nachum Guzik Cultural Center will greet people just outside the new north entrance to the campus. In this modern concert hall and conference center, we will host international meetings, world-class musicians, and hold our important events such as the future Board of Governors meetings and graduation ceremonies. We will also finally have a visitor center where thousands of guests and tourists will come to witness firsthand the miracle of Ben Gurion University of the Negev and get a glimpse of our remarkable research. Across the plaza from this center, dormitories housing 1,000 students will open already this October. This modern complex will have cafes and shops opening upon the plaza so students and visitors can interact on a daily basis. Now, just through the entrance gate, a wide promenade will be the main pedestrian thoroughfare of the North Campus. On the left, the Glazer Homeland Security Building will house state-of-the-art cyber and robotics laboratories and research facilities which will enable us to attract the best and the brightest of Israel's young academic talent. Right next door, the Drehi Innovation and Classroom Building is critical to absorb the ever-growing student body. This building will contain classrooms designed for the student of the mid-21st century. Classrooms where soldiers from the neighboring bases will embark on academic studies while completing their military service. Our Entrepreneurship Center, Yazamut 360, will be seamlessly integrated with these classrooms. And below this building, leading to the Marcus campus, a new sprawling complex to house our ever-growing Department of Computer Science. And from here, people will exit the North Campus through the new main entrance, the Ernest Scheller Jr. Gate of Innovation. Can you picture this new reality emerging as we speak? But we are just getting started. What I've described are buildings, but in these buildings will be Israel's greatest researchers. Over the past 2 years, we've brought back to Israel the brightest academics to build their future at BGU. Later in today's program, you will meet several of them. Tens more are waiting for us to offer them positions to partner in our dreams, to teach the students bubbling with curiosity. We owe it to them to give them world-class facilities so that they can provide the solutions for whatever future crisis awaits, just as the current researchers at BGU led the way in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. As we emerge to the new post-COVID reality, I look forward to renewing my in-person meetings with you abroad and here at the university. While we've done well by Zoom, nothing beats drinking coffee or wine together. I hope to see many of you on our trip to the United Arab Emirates and Sde Boker in October. And if not then, at our 52nd edition of the Board of Governors meeting, which will be held here in person next year. I promise you a great party. And in closing, I would like to paraphrase a quote from one of my childhood heroes, Martin Luther King Jr. To paraphrase him, I will say, the ultimate measure of Ben Gurion University is not where it stands in moments of comfort, but where the university stands at times of challenge and controversy. Undoubtedly, we have met the challenges of the COVID-19 crisis, and today the light of our university shines brighter than ever around the world. I hope today's program will inspire you and make you proud. You are, after all, partners in our historic endeavor.